Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is concern. And I've had some interesting conversations today about the distinctions between concern and fear. Sort of the distinction between being mindful and aware of a possibility of something that might happen, and to do what we can to prepare, to do what we can to potentially adjust, to course correct, to prevent even, versus fear that often tends to have us fantasizing and projecting and imagining things. And a lot of times what I've noticed with fear is that fear has us feeling feelings about something that hasn't even happened yet. That fear is often about having an emotion preemptively. So, for example, I was working with somebody earlier today, and they had been caught in this tape loop of preemptive grief because someday their beloved was going to die, or they would die. Not that this was happening anytime soon, but just the awareness that someday this would happen, and therefore someday things would change. And what was really sad about this is that all of this preemptive grieving and this preemptive fear and all of these emotions that weren't about what was going on in the present moment, but about something that might happen in the future, was basically like souring the batch or souring the moment. It was like putting this bitter taste on every sweet moment that they had. And instead of being able to savor every last second and savor every chance that they have to be with each other and to enjoy each other's company, it becomes this dreaded anticipation, and sort of living in this state of dismay and grief way before it's even necessary. And so I was just really thinking about how our fear will carry us down these rabbit holes and will often provoke emotional responses to things that have not even happened. And how, for some reason, there's this part of our minds as human beings that thinks that somehow we're protecting ourselves for feeling these uncomfortable feelings like in advance, so that maybe somehow if we grieve in advance or we worry in advance or we do something in advance, it's going to be easier. And I mean, I know I've certainly been guilty of this many times, and I know that it's just sort of this interesting kind of human nature thing that we can get into. So right now, I'm really being mindful of that distinction between concern and fear that brings me into preemptive emotions that are really unnecessary. And while I definitely have my concerns, and there are things that I am feeling very mindful and watchful of, I'm also really clear that right now what I really want to do is stay in the moment, stay in the here and now, recognize what the truth is in this moment and what is going on and how things are, and not get caught up in the what if and in the idea of if this then that, because I cannot know, and I use up so much bandwidth and so much emotional space and so much energy, precious resources that I have, when I start being concerned about something that hasn't even happened yet. Or, well, concerned is when I start fearing something that hasn't even happened yet, as opposed to having a healthy concern that I that I witness and I acknowledge, but I do not go into emotional response about. So my question to you is, are you noticing that fear is taking you out of the present? Are you noticing that there's places where you are going beyond concern and directly into fear? And how can you back that truck up? What will it take for you to hold on to perhaps some healthy concern while simultaneously not projecting into a future that has not even happened yet.